fans, super curve honing fans, type 2 diabetes rescued by keto fans, and carnivore fans. This is Bill here on the first day of 2024. Yesterday I had I have not done any honing in a while, and I got my hones out and my stuff out, and I worked on one razor couple of razors that I've been wanting to get a retouch on or get another look at. I did that yesterday. I want to talk a little bit about that, these razors, do the shave test on these razors, and talk a little bit about my process, which is using convex hones. And when I use multiple curvatures, I like to call that super curve, because there's a lot of misinformation from people who have never tried this method, yet they say it doesn't work. But the method is derived from, it's been revived. The gentleman to be credited with the revival of that is Jared Connerty from the Superior Shave. Feel free to look him up. He sells some of the unique stuff and unique shaving stuff and razors, and he also has supplies that enable people to take up this type of method and tools, which I have used. I had thought he was going to stop doing it, but he's found a guy in the United States where he can get the shaping plates from. He's done that. He's actually doing some neat new stuff with different stones to enable people to do that, because if you are selling razors, straight razors, I don't care what kind of shaving device that you use, it will eventually get dull, and you will either need to replace the blade, or in the case of a straight razor, sharpen it. The first piece is a Thiers Issard, and maybe I'll call this thing, our Thiers Issard razors, any good in 2024. I did a thing where I shaved with an older Thiers Issard razor I had, and I said, are Thiers Issard razors any good? And a common comment that comes up is, and a lot of the French razors have been known to tolerate less than perfect geometries, more so than maybe a custom razor maker would. That's not to say that that's for sure either. But for a while there, particularly when I think it was when The Art of Shaving had the exclusive. Oh, and I'm gonna start lathering instead of keep talking. I'm using Sterling Scots Pine Sheep because my friend Long Haul Tanker, look him up, got a puck of this. He liked it. It is a mutton tallow based soap. It is just a luxurious soap. I'm using the High Mountain White brush that I got from Sterling. I bought a lot of stuff from Sterling. I have bought a lot of stuff from Sterling. And I've been a big fan of mutton tallow, although the big tub of the mutton tallow soap that I got that's unscented doesn't mean it doesn't have a smell. It's unscented, meaning it doesn't have, they didn't add a fragrance to it, but it's got a stink, okay? And there's a lot of people that don't like any type of animal fat product or soap, because there is a tendency to have some odor to it. Anyhow, Scots Pine uses a pine type scent, which was really strong. Another good one that I like a little bit is Electric Sheep, which they use like a strong lemon and a menthol in that. So I personally think that these mutton tallow soaps from Sterling, I just don't, there could be something out there I haven't tried. I just have not seen a soap that I feel performs better than this one right here does. Anyhow, the one razor that I wanted to touch up, I have 3 Thiers Issard 7/8 format razors. This one is the oak wing, has the Liquor Glow engraving on the spine. It's plain on both sides, but I think some of these came in a special case or whatever. This one didn't. Okay, Barber's Notch 7/8 format, and I can't remember the honing history of this. I think I honed it once. I cannot remember, but it never really, this one just never really performed quite as good as the other 2 7/8 razors that I did. So what I did, and I'll try and put in a couple of photos that I took when I was honing. Number 1, and I'm looking at some notes down here, so please forgive me. I took these pictures. I just didn't want to forget about the descriptions for the photos that I'm going to bring them in on the side or whatever. One is the step 1, you evaluate the edge. Okay, in this case, I have a nice microscope. You don't need one of these. You can use different types of magnifiers, but I like to use the scope because it helps me where I'm using multiple curves in there to see on the bevel itself exactly how many curves and where they are and what's happening in there. And that's a nice tool for that. The next, I got these paper notes here to actually print out some of the stuff I'm putting on the screen here. The next thing is going to be an edge test. Whatever edge test you do is okay with me, whether it's doing your arm hairs or your leg hairs or a hair from your head or whatever. I found this thing where I like these packing peanuts, the polystyrene type, not the ones that are made from cornstarch, but the polystyrene type. And I like to, and there are different ones from different manufacturers at different types will have slightly different characteristics, but you can get a gauge as to how much. And I like to go for a push cut. Okay, anything will give you with a slicing cut. Okay, that's easy. Okay, I want to get a push cut, and I want to know how much force, how much energy I have to put on to get that type of stuff. That's been mine. If you're, and I'm going to go back to straight razor shaving. At some point in time, if you're a straight razor shaver, you're going to have to decide how you want to get your razor resharpened, whether you want to send it to somebody or whether you want to learn to do it. This is the method that I've came up with. This tool, I did it on the super curve. I used 3 different stones in here ultimately, and then I finished it in the way I'll get into my finishing. And I just want to see. Okay, so I'm not comparing that directly against one of its cousins that I've used, but this is perfect for me. Okay, now sometimes recently I've had like a week's worth of growth. This is a couple days since I last shaved. So that I'm liking that. Now, one of the things in the question, I got a comment, my thing when I said, are Thiers Issard razors any good? And one of a commenter came in and said, well, the problem is they have poor quality control. And I've heard this kind of stuff before, poor quality control, and they're difficult to hone. That's not, maybe my edge was a little bit too sharp there. That's not totally untrue that they are difficult to hone. Okay. One of the things about this razor, okay, the Thiers Issard, as far as I know, they tout their C135 steel, okay? And there's the little stamping for the oak wing in there. And they tout that. And somewhere else, I read somewhere that they use a lead hardening process where the blanks are put into a molten lead. And as far as I know, they're the only razor maker to do that. One or both of that combination leads to a very, very hard surface and an edge that lasts a long, long time. So if you want that, okay, you got to go for that. You may be able to get that kind of edge durability and hardness elsewhere. You might be able to do that. I'm not saying you cannot, okay? But for a production razor, this is really, really a good way to go, in my opinion. But you have to learn how to hone this. And any straight razor is going to be made by hand. And I will bet you that I can find some sort of a defect in every last one of those. Okay, and what I was going to say on when I hone this, let me do a picture in here. I started off. I wanted to reestablish the edge. I used a translucent arc. Here's a picture on that with ballistol, and I checked the edge with my packing peanut, and then I wanted to further refine that edge, and I went to my Suhiro 20K. Okay, both of those are shaped on the Jared plate on the longer radius, and I did something new. One of the things with the Suhiro stones is they have a tendency for the water to kind of beat up, almost like on a wax car, and I usually would, in my water on here, put a couple of drops of Dawn dishwashing detergent. Somebody had suggested to me, why don't you try the Jet Dry, because it's a surfactant, and so I did that there, and it does keep the water from beating up on this particular stone. So also I went to that stone for the final step. Okay, now here is the stone, one of the intermediate stones, where I have two of these where I'm curving, where after I get to the edge, I am honing on this curve, and I'm working, if I have a slight curve in here, I am working in this part of it. I'm not wanting with one of those coarser stones to get all the way out to the edge. I want to effectively thin this out somewhat, so there's a little bit more clearance for the following stones to get in and hit that edge, and maybe a little bit of a flexibility in there. And when you hone with a convex and you get an edge, the thickness of the edge is going to be a little bit further down, whereas if you go with an apex type on a straight stone, a flat hone, very, very quickly you'll knock that top edge off, and there will be some degradation in in my opinion, more quick degradation in that edge than if you have something where it has almost a spire, like, but not a straight spire, and it's probably actually a little bit even thicker than at the apex than it would be with the conventional, and I call it conventional, but with modern day flat honing, however you want to call it. Okay, so after that particular step, then here's another slide. I go to a balsa strop progression, where you can see that I go through 3 dovos, and this is where I really am drawing out, and I do check each and every step along the way with my packing peanut, and you can gauge that you're getting an improvement from one step to the next. And then the final step would be where I like to use, there's a particular kangaroo that I like, and there's a smooth leather. I got these along with a magnetic base. I got those from Chef's Knives to go, and I use them all the time. And that is the only time that I have gone to flat, because I have not been terribly successful in the final step, as it's called for in the 1840 German Grinder's Handbook. I've just not been totally successful in a flat stone on the final step. Okay, the other razor was this one right here. Okay, and this is a 6/8 Thiers Issard, and I've not really ever really gotten this to the point where it shaves as well as other razors that are like this in this same forged format, although they don't have the French point. The other ones do. They're more of the rounded point. And I'm not sure about this because I'm looking at this and I'm looking, and I'm trying to gauge in the microscope the different layers, and I'm wondering, okay, so there's something going in there. Did I have something from a previous honing? And I'm just not sure. But it looked, because you look and you can see in magnification, you can see in the bevel, you can see the three distinct different layers when you're doing a triple radius super curve hone. Okay. And usually you see them go with an increasing polish as you go more. I saw a higher polish in the middle, which was really, really odd. But let's see how this does. Now, I don't have a comparison to this one, but I do have a recollection that this was a little bit rougher than that, which I don't find that to be the case anymore. Don't you just love it when a straight razor shaver guy cuts himself? I don't know if that's as a result of an ingrown that I had, or whether I actually dug myself. I'm not real sure. Not that it matters. So I'm pretty happy with that, although I honestly think that the 7/8 is a little bit better shaver. It might be just a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure if all of my 7/8 don't seem to shave just a little bit better than the 6/8. But I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy. So I've seen a number of guys who've continually are posting content. A lot of people have dropped out in the wet shaving world in their content for whatever reason. I personally think there's some loss of interest, although these things kind of have a tendency where they can rebound. So what I'll do is I'll switch sides with this, with those two of the same tools. Let me just go with the. I'm happy with the 7/8. Let me just go with the 6/8 for this pass. So if you are interested in taking up this style of honing, there's stuff for you. Do check out the Superior Shave for some of the stones and options there. He makes a lot of video content on how to do this. He's largely been my mentor. In this style, although there have been other people who have done some work in this and have influenced me. And I did want to say that Thiers Issard, believe it or not, it's probably their fault more than anything for the revival, or really the revival of, although it's been used by razor makers, this honing style for a long, long time. It's documented to go back to 1840-ish. So when somebody tells you that, well, you flatten your stones, or you do whatever, you do this or you do that, or whatever, you know, whatever it is you do, you spit on it, you do whatever, it's been done this way for 200 years. You know, the big thing is that if you're going to straight razor shave, my opinion, you need to learn to figure out how to sharpen your own razors, or have somebody else sharpen them. And it is your obligation to figure out how you're going to do it. Whether it's this way or some other way, it's like, I really don't care how you do it. It's up to you. So that's 2 passes, and that's, as I recall, not as good of a 2-pass shave as my last shave was with, I think, my Philly 14. And that was just a marvelous, marvelous shave. I love that piece. Got that from Matt Lukey, 3262. I think you can find him here on YouTube. Great guy and wet shaving enthusiast. Okay, so for the final razor, while I had my stones out, I thought, well, let me, and it reminded me because I was working on the TI razors, and I saw where a guy that's here on YouTube, Glenn is his name, the Luxury Shaving Hobbyist. I'll put a link to his channel. Please check him out. Okay, he loves a lot of different things with shaving and the soaps and the brushes and a whole lot of different things. But he decided he was going to undertake straight razor shaving, and he started off like many people do with an inexpensive option, a couple of gold dollars, and he got them. And early on, there's a lot of struggles that you go through in learning how to do that. It's like, I showed my strops and, okay, and I don't know if I showed them yet, but here's a picture of the maintenance strops I do. I really do not, almost never use my hanging strops anymore, because you can take a razor and you can put an edge on it, and I believe that you can bend that edge a little bit so it does not shave as well very, very easily. And then you could sit there and make the assumption that, well, I need 50 more laps or 100 laps or 500 laps or whatever. And maybe it won't ever get better. I don't really know. But that's one of the things that is probably one of the hardest things to gauge in learning straight razor shaving is how, what, where, and stropping. Okay, so anyhow, I saw Glenn, and he ultimately he did a recent video that was what I was gonna say, where he had gotten a number of these Thiers Issard razors from the Superior Shave, pretty ones. Glenn likes nice stuff. Okay, and he got pretty ones, and he'd done a shave, and it was good to see that how he's progressing and how he is finding for himself the delight, the sense of accomplishment in straight razor shaving. He actually even mentioned in his recent video that he almost quit. And I'm sure there's loads of people that had gotten there. But this was one of the razors that he started off with. I don't know who he got it from, but it looked like, when I first saw him, it looked like he was struggling. I thought, I'm going to send that guy a razor, and partly was because he was following a methodology of learning how to straight shave that I thought was a good methodology for somebody to follow. And I looked at this one, like I said, I normally do. I evaluate a razor before I'm going to hone it, but I gave him one, he liked it, and then he ultimately, I think, he started buying the Thiers Issard razors. And he sent me these because he just didn't want them anymore. Okay, they could have been less than what he wanted. It could have been that the edges had kind of dulled out from learning how to strap. I'm not really sure, but I thought, well, I'll put an edge on this and I'm going to send it back to him. So Glenn, if you tune in, this is going to be coming back your way. I did this on the Super Curve. I'll sanitize this in Barbicide before I do send it, and I'll pack it up and I'll send it to you and shave with it, or whenever, if you do decide to take up honing. Okay, these are not bad tools to play with. A lot of people learn to hone, and you can learn a lot from honing on gold dollars. This particular one is interesting. It's like, okay, so whoever did this, they took let's see if I can get they took a lot of this, the curve off here and curve off here, which is where some of the problems can come in honing gold dollars. And this was interesting. Let me see if I can get this on I'm not sure. There's some grind marks on the steel going across this way, okay? And it has them on the front and the back. Now, I don't believe whoever this came from, but when I put calipers on this is one thing. Usually a lot of these gold dollars, if you put calipers on them in here, they're fat. okay? And then they get skinnier. And then when you're honing that, this fat part kind of pushes it up away from the stone and makes it hard to hone. But this is actually a little bit skinnier, and that coupled with the curve makes this a little bit easier of an object to hone. And I think a lot of people that learn to hone on these, learn the procedure, and then the common teaching is that you flatten your stones first, and then you take this and you grind this away, and everything's flat, 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 and you're touching everything all at the same time. And that's a way that things are done. It's not the way that I do it, but that doesn't mean just because you learn to do that and do that on there, that does not mean that on a piece like this, you don't, and you can actually look and you can see on the heel of that, you can actually see the bevel's wide. Let's see if the bevel's wide on the heel there. Okay, this is not a perfect razor. Okay, and let's look at the other side. You can see the bevel on here is wide. It gets very skinny and it gets wide out on the toe again. Okay, and if you were to hone this on a flat stone, whether you tape it, if you taped it to keep it from wearing away, whatever on the spine, and I don't measure these. I just look at the edge and I figure out what do I got to do to get the minimum steel stock removal and get to the edge. Whatever razor I'm doing, that's what I'm figuring on how to do, including this one. Although I've got a lot of gold dollars that you got to do a lot of stock removal too. So anyhow, I just wanted to see, okay, how this does. And so I'm going to say the shade's pretty good. So there's no reason you cannot find a way to get a good edge on a very inexpensive razor. So, I don't know who the originator of this piece was, but please don't take offense at me honing this or whatever. It's, I'm not trying to degrade somebody else's method. This is my method. If whoever you are, if you have an interest in evaluating the way I do things, whatever, you can somehow figure out how to get a hold of me. And I'd be glad to do one for you. And You can look at it. You can be critical of it. You can shave with it. You can do whatever you want with it. It's just different strokes for different folks. And just evaluating by the Fool's Pass on the stash, that gold dollar did quite well. One thing for anybody who is considering going the gold dollar route and taking up straight razor shaving, they're easy to hone. Meaning to me, not easy in terms of how to get an edge, because I've spent hours and hours on some of these things. The forging or the grinding is so screwed up. Some of them take a lot of time, but metal removal is relatively easy. I don't think the steel is exceptionally hard like that which you would find on modern sting with the alum block. I don't think the steel is near as hard as what you find on the French razor, Thiers Issard. So those razors that are hardened to higher hardnesses and that are can be typically a little bit harder for an individual to hone. I'm going to use a balm unscented. I like to use this a lot of times. It's in the beginning I found it a little bit too greasy, but if I put this stuff on, well, my face is just kind of damp. I kind of like that. Okay, so that's that part. And for the scent, I'm going to use something. I haven't tried it. This is one of the Sterling scents that came out on their Black Friday. They have every year, they have a Black Friday sale. This is one. This is Red Eye. This is an homage to Polo Red. The description, I thought I would like it, but I don't know. I smelled it a little bit, and then I thought, oh, I'm not really sure. So let me put it on and let me see. It's kind of floral, kind of very, very little bit of a some of a spicy kind of a scent, floral and little cologne like, but that's nice. I do like that. Okay, there's other that would be I think a fine scent to wear if you were going to some sort of I'm not a formal guy, but if you were going to some sort of a formal thing. Okay, and then I'm going to use the powder cannon that still works. And then I'm going to pat that down like I always do with a cushy terry cloth. So that's the shave, that's the honing. I hope to be doing some other honing videos in the future. I want to shape up some stones, some Norton stones that I got that I intended to shape, and I don't know if that'll be this winter or not. So this shave video is a little bit longer than usual because I'm talking with doing a lot of stuff. I hope everyone has endured through 2023 and has really a much, much better year this year in 2024. So look up some of the links I put in for some of the things I like, and do take care of yourselves. Enjoy, and many, many happy shaves to you all. This is Bill.